Well, thank you, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Good. Hi, I'm Lindsay Ketchel, and I get the honor of being a part of a all-voluntary kind of loose-knit group we love to refer to as the Dunn County Heat Group. And then in my day job, I get the honor to serve as the executive director of Landmark Conservancy. And I'm really excited that we are entering our second gathering of ways to discover possible ways that we can all collaborate a little bit more in Dunn County to protect the things that we really love and care about. But to get started, why don't we go around and do quick introductions? And if you are on the call and you are already connected with HEAT, can you just let folks understand that also? Because some of us are wearing dual hats as we go along. So I'm going to start up at the top. Sue, you are appearing at the top of my videos.
Okay, I'm Sue Sukting. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My internet fades in and out a little bit. I'm a member of the HEAT group, and I also like to represent the Citizens Climate Lobby. And we have a chapter in Eau Claire, so I've been a part of that group. And basically that's advocating for a price on carbon at the federal level, but we speak to groups locally. We have speakers available to chat with people any old time about what that would mean for our environment. So sort of the big umbrella picture about all we care about in our county as far as clean air, clean water, stable environment. Thanks.
Thanks, Sue. How about Steve?
I'm Steve Hansen. I publish local news site Wiz Community, and I'm a member of the HEAT team. And I am right at the moment working on a video project and website and stuff like that to try to show off some of the groups and people in the area who are doing environmental work.
Great, thank you. And then the other Steve?
Yes, Steve Hogseth. I moved back to Wisconsin about 3 years ago. And one of the, I've always been environmentally conscious, I guess, forever. And I happened upon this HEAT group about 2+ years ago, and it seemed like a worthwhile cause, and here I am. So good to see everybody today.
Christopher?
Yeah, Chris Gatsky, Lower Chippewa Invasive Partnership, Executive Director. We cover 5 counties, including Dunn County. So Claire, Dunn, Chippewa, Pierce, and Pepin counties. And we work on invasive species management, outreach, and control. And just try to be an advocate out there for sustainable land management and helping people out learn some stuff. So about land ethics and such. So glad to be here.
Great, thanks. Kathy?
Oh, me.
I was gonna say Catherine. It's spelled.
I too am a member of the HEAT group, but I'm here representing the prairie enthusiast, and since Scott Sins isn't here, I'll speak up a little for the Alliance of Dunn County Conservation and Sports Clubs.
Great. And Cheryl, it looks like you're next on my list.
I am Cheryl Miller. I'm a local municipal clerk here in the area, and I'm part of a number of environmental groups, currently and in the past. Right now, I'm the co-chair of HEAT, and I'm on the board of directors of League of Women Voters also, and was part of their environmental team.
Great. Anne Marie?
Yeah, hi, I'm Anne Marie McClellan. I live in Menominee. I am not a member of HEAT. I am one of the co-presidents for the League of Women Voters. We used to have an environmental group that had a lot of interest in water quality issues primarily, but that has kind of dissolved, and hopefully I think there's people in the league that would be interested in working on those sorts of issues. So I'd like to take that to them. I'm not, oh, I said I'm not a member of HEAT. I am a member of the Prairie Enthusiasts as well. on the
Great,
board.
yeah. Yeah, and to be clear, the whole heat thing is this really loose knit effort that we're just pulling together. And I see it looks like it's Tom Quinn is next on my list.
Yeah, hi, thanks. So I'm Tim Quinn. I am on the county board and I'm chair of the Planning Resource and Development Committee, which is the committee that also houses the Land and Water Conservation Division and program. So I work a lot with conservation and water quality issues. I'm also wearing another hat today, and that's I'm retired staff person with Wisconsin Farmers Union. And Tara Dunn was hoping to be here today, but she had a conflict with the meeting. So I'm going to sit in for her and share some information with her after the meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, and Dale.
I am a retired biology teacher from Menominee and live outside of Knapp and kind of representing Trout Unlimited. I'm real active with them with Trout in the Classroom project. We have 10 schools that we sponsor. And I'm also a less than active member of Prairie Enthusiasts. And I think that's about it.
Great, and John?
Good afternoon, everybody. John Sipple. I am the soil conservationist here in Dunn County, representing NRCS, administer the Farm Bill and conservation programs that the federal government gives us authority to with the, I guess, yeah, NRCS, which is the Natural Resources Conservation Service.
Great. Thanks, John. And Missy.
Hi, I'm Missy Sparrowleen. I'm the wildlife biologist for Wisconsin DNR, working here out of Menominee. So I'm the biologist that covers Dunn and Pepin counties.
I hate to say this, but did I miss anybody? I think I got everyone. Okay. And just so you know, a couple folks were not going to be able to make it today, but that's okay. We wanted to keep the effort moving forward because we know that usually anytime you're trying to seed any kind of collaboration, usually it takes a couple of meetings and some thoughtfulness moving forward. I will be very clear and very awkward. A lot of us are zoomed out, and trying to figure out how to seed a collaboration using Zoom is a bit harder than when you're able to sit around a table and get in a conference room and really kind of connect and work through this. But we are hoping to be at a point where we'll be able to gather in person to continue this effort moving forward. And what I thought would be helpful is I pulled together a very simple little PowerPoint just to kind of introduce who we are and what we're doing, but then and the grant opportunity. And then more importantly, there's some working slides here where I thought it would be really, really helpful for us to kind of critique and get feedback from folks moving forward. And then I will also do a very, very quick introduction for myself. I just noticed, there we go. Okay. I also, I'm Lindsay Ketchel. I live in Dunn County. I live out on Otter Creek, up past Wheeler. My partner and I moved there about 3 years ago. And I'm very passionate about community conservation and collaboration and working in a different model to help efforts move forward. I will just say that in my professional career, I've never seen us at more of a challenging time and more of an urgent time for us to all figure out how to work collaboratively. Sadly, very few faith in government. Government can't solve these issues. They never could, but can we collectively help this amazing county protect its amazing natural resources? So that's just a quick introduction for me and why I got involved in all of this. And then I just want to quickly introduce, so HEAT, and if I mess this up, everybody jump in. But but health done right is an effort in the state, in the county, to look at and to develop action teams to address really critically and important issues facing our county. Some of those have to address housing, chronic disease, mental health, drug, alcohol addiction, and environmental issues. And so when that survey happened in this county, those were the areas where there was much need and much flagged investment. And then the idea is, and then this helped through the Community Foundation of Dunn County, is that can we create action teams to work on these specific issues to help address and move them forward. And as earlier stated, we have our fearless leaders are Steve and Cheryl. And then we have different folks serving different functions underneath the HEAT effort. This is our little mission. I think it's really helpful to understand kind of why are we here, and our mission for the HEAT Environmental Action Team. We will transition to healthy urban and rural land and water use practices and policies to ensure Dunn County has safe air and water quality and ecological resiliency. So that's why we're here. That's what we're excited about and helping to build forward. How we go about this work is pretty simple right now. We have a monthly meeting where we have business items that we talk about, various opportunities. We also have a newsletter that goes out that Kathy and others at the health, Kathy's been the big push behind this. And that's an attempt to get more information to help the private residents of Dunn County be more aware of opportunities to get engaged. And then we've been doing a lunch and learn event from noon to 1. And in fact, we think this lunch and learn event has some great opportunities moving forward. But to be honest with you, we're just struggling to get more people to become aware of it. So, so this is not right now a lunch and learn event that 45 participants are on the call. We're not there yet at all, but we're seeding and moving these efforts moving forward. And then our focus for 2022 is this collaboration. So this collaboration is a kind of a little separate effort. There's 4 of us who have offered to help take the lead. But we are not here controlling. We're just here facilitating, if that makes sense, and setting the plate and the table and the dishes for all of us to create a great meal together. So we've got the collaboration effort. We want to improve social media and expand readership of our HEAT monthly newsletter. Some really great information is in there, some really thoughtful ways that people can be engaged. And then we're going to implement our web outreach video campaign. I'll get it a little bit more into that, but we see this as a great opportunity to share a little bit more about what different groups and efforts are happening in Dunn County and get more folks to be wanting to be involved. And in the very end, I think this is really, in the end, to move all of this forward is, can we get Dunn County residents aware of and involved in conservation efforts and issues and feel that they can make a difference in a very proactive way? So that kind of gives you a little sense of it moving forward. So we were successful in securing some funds to move forward. But we left this community outreach website kind of vague, and this collaboration will also allow us some thoughtfulness as how we design and move forward with it. But basically, the grant focus is to build a series of videos highlighting both amazing leaders, but in addition to amazing leaders, amazing initiatives and/or organizations. We want to build a website to house those videos and organizational information. This will build it as flexible as possible to provide some information, documents, and data. We will be doing outreach to other media in the area through press releases, interviews, and sharing the videos. We will outreach to the organizations that will be involved with the hope that we could co-promote and distribute these videos for more use. And again, they're just little vignettes with little teasers and a little bit of thoughtful information that might activate or engage someone to take a higher level of engagement towards conservation or the work we're doing. And then provide some email updates so that we can keep reinforcing those opportunities, see if folks want to have more information. Now, I'll be upfront, whether this, the technicalities of some of the approaches still need to get worked through. But I think the bottom line is, given the issues that we're facing and given the fact that we know that this is an issue people care about, how do we thoughtfully and help them feel more engaged and have thoughtful things to do in our communities to stay engaged around some of these conservation and environmental issues? So when we think about this collaboration, and this is a page, a section that we are going to have further discussion on later on in the agenda, because we want to hear from you all about, I'm sure many of you have been successful in collaborations, have some great ideas about how to help move this forward. So how we build stronger connections amongst the conservation groups, how could we go about doing that? Can we identify areas of opportunity for both program and administrative collaboration that results in improved delivery of our conservation services? Today, hopefully we can identify some resources or funding mechanisms to ensure conservation groups can thrive, and work to integrate conservation groups within the existing county or other coordinated efforts around watershed protection. So that's the big picture. And then we were very fortunate, back in November of 2021, we held our very first collaborative Zoom meeting. And these are some of the ideas that came out of that as a stepping stone or areas for further discussion. The idea of a Dunn County conservation calendar came out. This could maybe just list events. I know it's hard to imagine with all these forms of communication, but a lot of people don't know when events are happening. We mentioned the webpage and a little bit about that grant. Even having volunteer opportunities or other events, how can we promote that? The idea of expanding the brown bag monthly lunch opportunities did come up during the November session. And then the idea of an in-person conservation group back in April or May, maybe we'll be able to meet outside so we can come and collaborate together. And we want to hear about some really concrete, good ideas that we can move forward. And that's what we're pretty excited about. This is probably not, this is a very, very short, very quick list of some of the Dunn County conservation issues. But I think if we can all kind of agree on the issues, it's sometimes a little bit easier to figure out, the solution. Clearly, there's a lot of concern for water quality, concern for natural resource oversight. Residents need clear communication on proactive opportunities. Specific outreach to mid-sized farmers, how to help with market development. It's so ironic, I wrote that. And then I think yesterday we got an email from, I think, Tara, and I think, Tom, you also were linked into this about maybe some mid-sized grain or grain value-added opportunities here. So I do see a real opportunity. It's an issue, but an opportunity to do that outreach to mid-sized farmers and help them be profitable and make profit on the products they're producing. And is there an opening to establish maybe a stronger county government partnership? I always think, in my personal opinion, the stronger you can make that, the better off the county can be moving forward. And when we talk about examples of Dunn County opportunities, just mentioned earlier, Tara, I think these farmer-led watershed groups seem very strategic. I found this little map, sorry, it's all blurry, but this map over here is the map of all the 2017 producer-led grant recipients of these farmer-led watersheds. And you can see around our area, there's quite a bit of activity happening, and that's very encouraging from my perspective. Conservation network that has resulted in high quality recreation and habitat preservation. I do see that as there's lots of great examples of thoughtful land protection. The Red Cedar Preserve is just a simple one. And then I feel like Lake Minone and Tainter, both the visual and economic impact constraints is a constant reminder of the work needed to protect natural resources. So what I'm trying to get at is that the more Lake Minone and Tainter get green, get pea green, we can tell there's something wrong. The community knows there's something wrong. I know with COVID, it's hard to gauge, but I've gone to a couple bars where they've said, yeah, when the water's not great, there's not a lot of people coming downtown. So we know there's a direct correlation between water quality and economic prosperity. And is there an opportunity here for us to take advantage of a negative, and as you all have over years, don't get me wrong, turned it into a positive in many, many ways too. And then what would successful collaboration look like? Dunn County residents can easily find conservation opportunities. Dunn County conservation groups enhance their impact. There's strong collaboration between nonprofits and county and state efforts. We highly utilize web-based and social media resources and shared services among conservation partners. So I shared a lot, and now we're going to go back to and reflect on this PowerPoint. And this is to figure out kind of who and what is missing. Because anytime you do this, it's just a couple of people kind of working on it. And we've got a broader perspective here. So in general, I'd love to spend about 15 minutes just getting your overall feedback on the presentation, whether those were related to some of the ideas, some of our reflections. I'll just leave it at that. Things that you'd like to see added in the future, details that might be missing. And I specifically will go to, I think this is, yeah, this might be an okay slide to chat on. Everybody's being so quiet. I know Kathy won't stay quiet.
Unfortunately, that you can see me take a breath and ready to go. One of the things, and I just want to toss out, build stronger connections among conservation groups. I think that's one thing, but I just want to toss out a couple of ideas.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm jumping ahead because you had who or what is missing. I think there are a lot of other people we can get involved, but let me just toss out an idea. And I'm going to pick on Anne Marie because Anne Marie and I have talked about this, about trying to get information out to Dunn County citizens about PFAS. And we mentioned that, and we found that the Wisconsin Conservation Voters had some information. We think that there are a number of organizations that would have information. So that's just a stronger connection about how can we work together on projects. And PFAS is one of them that comes to mind. I know that the county, PR&D is, and the Land Conservation Agency are concerned about PFAS too. So is there an initiative that we can all work on trying to get more information out? Steve Hogseth was just mentioning an experience where he talked with a number of people, local people, and they had no idea what a PFAS was, or is rather. And so that's one idea. A way to build stronger connections is what are our overlaps and what can we be doing to work together? I see that as one project to toss out there.
Okay, great. Don't be shy, folks. Just really want to hear from folks. So it just, even if it's not responding to the thing.
Yeah, I'll just kind of jump in there to agree with Kathy in that I think like PFAS is such a big deal. I was just talking to somebody about it this weekend and she had her well tested and they didn't have it in there, but she talked about how expensive it was. And it's probably beyond the reach of many people to get it tested, you know, so there's a concern out there. And I think a lot of the people in these groups have information about it. And like, if we can share it, because I think to engage people, you need to give them something to rally around and to something to do or to meet and discuss, or, you know, even if it is a rally, pay attention to our PFAS. What are we going to do? How can we get our wells tested? You know, are they testing it in the cities or something? But to have some sort of event where people either show up or an action that they can do in follow-up to engage them.
Lindsay, this is Tom Quinn. I've a thought to share. That's okay. Can I follow up on the past two comments?
Yeah, please.
So this is a sort of a local government perspective, but we have had been interested in establishing, Kathy knows this, but we've been interested in establishing some kind of a groundwater quality program in the county that would maintain a database open to the public about water quality tests that either have been performed by private citizens or by local governments or towns. And one of the things that has kept that from happening is the cost, of course. But what we've talked about in the PR&D committee is that we are in a unique opportunity now because the county has received some funding through the ARPA program that is broadly available for at the discretion of the county board to fund special programs. And while there is intense pressure on budgetary pressures on the county to make sure that those funds meet immediate programming needs of the county, there is an opportunity to request funds from the ARPA funds and dedicate them towards some kind of a county-wide water quality testing program that would establish a baseline, a pretty solid baseline of where we're at right now, so that in the future, as that program develops, we have a way to look back at it. And I think that kind of a program would be short-term, and there would be like, let's get people involved in doing this in a 6-month period. It could involve some partnerships in collecting samples and getting citizens to do their own samples and contribute the results. And it could potentially include some kind of modest effort to deal with testing for PFAS. But so here's the lay of the land kind of. This idea has been brought up by the Planning and Resource Committee that approved going ahead with trying to figure out how to make it happen. The county is now planning, probably at the March meeting, to make some determinations about how to allocate ARPA funds. And if there's interest, I think it would make sense for this group to say, we're interested in this. We would like to find a way to make a unified appeal to the county board to allocate some funding to it. And then if it's funded, sort of participate in how it's developed and rolled out. Just some general ideas.
Great. Sorry, I'm taking notes. A great suggestion, Tom. And yeah, and getting that baseline is going to be so critical, and it could be a very engaging. And I also agree earlier when someone, you have to have things for folks to do if you want to get them organized and have that focus. So this could be a very interesting, very targeted approach to help build some momentum. Great ideas.
Lindsay, can I, excuse me for interrupting, just an office thing. Yeah, I'm taking notes. Do you want me to share my screen about that?
Oh, yes, please do. Let me see how I stop sharing. There you go. You got it? Got it. Any other generalized feedback? We're starting to morph into, and maybe this is the appropriate shift. When we start working on a list of collaborative actions we could be taking, I think we kind of started to morph that way too, which is great. Any other ideas? I know the mid-sized brain issue came up. Or maybe it's value added or mid-size. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I'll just kind of take the PFAS. I've been wrestling in my mind whether I should, because I'm going to sound like I'm fumbling here. And the reason I'm fumbling is I'm really not all that knowledgeable on some of the things that are going on with PFAS. And I don't mean to put Sue on the spot, but I think Sue knows a fair amount more than I do about some of these regulations. Sue and I happened to, I think there were maybe 80 participants in the state of Wisconsin that sat in on a session. When was that, Sue? Maybe 10 days ago or so, 2 weeks ago. And I think both Sue and I spoke at that session, and the DNR is trying to, elevate this within the state a little bit. And I seem to remember, I don't know if it was in that meeting or other things that I have heard, but people talk about testing for PFAS in their own drinking water. And I think I heard somebody, maybe it was at the DNR meeting, make a comment that people are reluctant to test their own water for PFAS because if they've discovered that they have PFAS, that is going to harm their property value. So it's kind of an ignorance is bliss sort of thing. Don't tell me, I don't want to know. And so there's a reluctance that, and part of that reluctance is there are not funds available to do this. And I remember Tom Pearson gave a presentation back in October to a local group. And, PFAS have been around for probably 60 years. Maybe more. Probably, I think it even goes back into the 30s. And we've known about it. We've known it's a risk. Yet, it depends upon the states and how, or local communities, what they want to do about it. And so there doesn't seem to be the national awareness that, and the state awareness that we probably would like. So educating people on one thing, but then if somebody does have, if we do discover PFAS in our drinking water, that's a huge task. If one person with a private well has it, what do they do about it? I don't know the answer to that. And so I'm kind of rambling here, but somehow we have to get our legislators up to speed on this. We have to get more money involved to fight it. And I don't know how we do it. As I said, I admit that I am very naive on this whole topic.
Well, I should chime in. Thank you, Steve, for making those comments. I really don't know a whole lot about PFAS, but very nice of you to say that. I did attend the hearing like with Steve, with a whole like 60, 80 people. And that was the third hearing. I didn't hear about the other two in time to join them. But basically, you know, we were all expressing our ourselves being in favor of the funding for, or the rule by the DNR to move forward and move the money towards a program of testing PFAS. And again, I don't have lots of details in my brain about this, but I think what Tom Quinn was just saying, you know, if we can move the county government to make use of some funds, you know, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a really expensive test. I think that's what, you know, people are not going to be able to test for it, just along with standard testing for nitrates. It's going to be very expensive. So we will need the funding, and we will need the county board to access those funds if we want to go forward. But that's all I know. Sorry.
Yeah. But the county board needs the money from the state, you know. I mean, it's the state and the federal awareness. We have to escalate that somehow.
Well, Steve, if I can, I think the counties yes, I think the lack of federal and state funding for testing has been what's limited the establishment of a county testing program. But we have these federal funds that are available through the ARPA relief program for the pandemic relief. And those have been, it's been recently notified to the county that those funds are available for general purpose use, not just specific things like we were planning that it was. So there would be a one-time source of funds for a modest baseline testing program. Now, I don't know whether that could include PFAS or not, but one way around, I think the idea that people are reluctant to test their wells because it could affect their property values is a very legitimate concern.
Mhm.
So whatever testing program you have set up, monitoring program you have set up, has to identify well locations, but not specific addresses. And for PFAS, it may be, I don't know, maybe you do something like you partner with the towns in the county to test their wells, or you test public wells, just to get some kind of idea. I don't know if that would be practical or even beneficial, or whether we're revealing the information, but there are ways around those kind of problems if we're thoughtful.
Great.
One of the things that I find useful is communicating the economic impacts to whatever said solution that we're coming up to, or said problem we're trying to find. For example, like PFAS, you know, just communicating that the city of Eau Claire had to shut down 3 out of their 7 drinking water wells because of high PFAS. You know, what does that mean for a small community like Boyceville? What does that mean for a small community like Colfax? Or, you know, I'll say a larger community like Menominee would be a huge environmental impact as well as economical impact. You start talking to some of these town boards or city boards, would be, I think, a great asset there as well. So at least everyone knows that it's not just something that's being dreamt up in Madison, that this is something that's local, and can happen here at any point in time.
We heard a lot about, which is great, water testing program, PFAS, and having lived on a military base and grew up on a military base, I can tell you the impact of this chemical is significant, beyond our wildest imaginations. And then I'm just wondering if we want to shift gears a little bit right now, though, and talk a little bit about working list for collaborative actions, which we're still doing now. So are there other ideas that folks might have related to action steps One thing we talk a little bit about here at Landmark Conservancy as a we think it's a direct result of COVID. We're not 100% sure, but there has definitely been an increased spike of use of our lands that we have open to the public. There has been a significant impact, I guess, to that infrastructure due to those additional usage. But I don't know that we're taking advantage of enlightening and empowering folks to, I don't know, engage a little bit more on conservation besides just liking to go on more outdoor walks. Like, it's one thing to go out and do outdoor recreation. It's another thing to all of a sudden say, I really care about water and I want to do something. So I feel like this region has, is there an opportunity to, I guess my opportunity has to do maybe with related to educating outdoor recreational users and entice them with very concrete action steps to be more protective of our conservation values. I'm kind of brainstorming it, but to me, there's a lot of people out there enjoying it. And how do we transition them?
If I can, I second that, Lindsay, and I might note that another county committee, the community resource and development and tourism committee, has initiated the development of a website in addition to the one that the Chamber of Commerce has, a website for the more focused on the whole county, including the rural areas and the natural resource areas. And that website will probably be live in April. Some of you may know Jim Zahns. Jim is kind of coordinating the development of it. It's kind of a bootstrap effort, but that would be, there would be opportunities for this group to collaborate in providing content for that website with regard to the access to natural resource opportunities in Dunn County. And probably an opportunity for the collaboration to have a identity for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about websites, there is sort of a proof of concept for the HEAT website. And if people would like to see that,
yeah,
I'd be happy to show it to you. I'll need to be able to screen share here. So Kathy, if you could unscreen share. Yeah, there we go. Let's try this. So is that working?
Yeah.
Okay.
I see Wisconsin Farmers Union Roundtable.
Yep. Yeah. So this, keep in mind that this is just like sort of, I'm building the database first and then going back and doing the theming and stuff. So it's kind of ugly right at the moment, but
Steve, are we supposed to be seeing a screen? All I see is everybody's smiley faces.
You're seeing the website, right?
No.
I mean,
It says health done right in the corner, and then it's home, blog, contact right above the faces, Bill, Steve.
Yeah,
that's the website.
that's the homepage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I need
They're
to
really
change,
small print.
maybe I need to change something here.
Do you see the logo at the top?
Okay, now I see it. Yep. Sorry.
Okay. So there's only two things that are built out a little bit right now, which is organizations. So there's a page for each of the organizations, and I've only gotten a few of them jammed in there so far, but this is a list of them. And so let's go look at Wisconsin Farmers Union, because that one's built out a little bit more. And the notion here is that a representative from each of these groups would be able to go in and edit their own page and make changes. But so this is stuff I've happily stolen off of the Farmers Union website and a couple other places. So there's a picture, there's a bunch of text, there's some specialized fields down here, some of which only appear for collaborative members so that everybody's contact emails and stuff aren't necessarily public knowledge. We can change that as is deemed reasonable. There's a place for videos. So here's a Farmers Union video. So there's that capability, and there's a calendar, which is, kind of, it has one event on it, which is today's meeting. But all this stuff's pretty easily editable.
Nice.
So like if boo. All right.
Because that is one issue.
This is a Farmers Union page here, and you put in a picture, and there's a WYSIWYG editor for text and
Nice.
fields for all the other stuff. And a place to put in videos from YouTube or Vimeo, or, if you really, really needed to, you can upload one, but I'd rather we didn't. And I think I'm done unless there are questions.
This strikes me as a thing that is one of the things I would love to see happen with this collaboration. Tom Quinn mentioned a calendar that's going to be coming out from consumerism, the tourism committee, excuse me. And you're talking about a calendar and a website that Heat's development. One of the things that I think this collaboration group, when we think about things that we can do together, is to share our projects so we know which each other's doing, so we're not each recreating something and having all these collaborate and share resources, so we don't have each organization developing something where there may be overlap. Can we share our projects so we know what each other's doing and we're not recreating the wheel? And we can make whatever project. For instance, can we make the tourism project, like Tom said, give them more information, or what Steve's doing is get more information there so people can know where to go to find out what's happening with different conservation groups. I think that's one of the steps that this collaborative effort can do.
Yeah. And I think if we can provide also, Kathy, a one-stop shop calendar, and the key, I think, is all the groups then linking and sharing back and forth, so that we're aware of events, we're aware of opportunities, and whether it's on the tourism site, landmark site, this site, the Wisconsin Farmers Union, we're all sharing about the things that can happen in the county.
Yeah. More outreach that way. More outreach.
Yep, more outreach.
There's a lot of possibility for leveraging a lot of that stuff, but my experience has been it is very hard to get that going because most people's websites do not have calendars that do those things very well. So like on WIS Community, I do import calendars from a number of different places, and they show up in the WIS Community calendar, but that requires that people have calendars that have a feed that's actually useful for calendars, and that's a rarity. So, all this stuff's possible, but it's usually really hard because it usually means people on both ends accommodating each other. And that's my rant.
Okay.
I think that is a concern, but, on the same token, being able to have better communication amongst the conservation groups, I see as one issue, one important step that, with obvious challenges, but something for us to consider.
Yeah.
I'd like to toss another thing into the mix of things that we have talked about. And that is, can we share other resources? We've talked about web pages and calendars, but can we share other resources? And I just want to give an example of something that happened today. Sarah Norman called today from Landmark, Lindsay, and she had gotten in a conversation with the leadership group in Dunn County and saying they want to have a work day. And are there ways that we can share resources? I know that Sarah Norman is really wonderful about outreach, better about outreach and really good at outreach. And she offers those kinds of services. And she has offered that to a couple of organizations that I'm involved with. Are there resources that each one of us can share with one another to help make each conservation group stronger? One of the things that I'm thinking about is, that leads to this is the loss of the Tainter-Monoman Lake Association group. Are there things, and I know one of the groups that I'm involved with, we struggle to keep the organization going, despite the fact that it's a good organization and it's doing good things. We struggle to keep it going for lack of administrative help. Yep. And is that something that the others in this conversation today see as an issue where we might be able to share outreach, volunteer list? I don't know what that means, but is that an issue other people see? That's something I see.
I do. I do. And I, as we've been talking here, something entered my mind that wasn't here before we logged in and started talking about some of this. So the conversation, I don't know if it jogged the brain cell or two that were sleeping, but when I first moved to the area, I was down the bike trail, and I stopped in the building there at the depot, and did something happen? Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. You're good.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so I said, it was on, they're looking for volunteers to help with the Red Cedar Trail, Friends of the Red Cedar. And they needed people to be in there to help sell tickets for bikers. And if the bikers had any questions about the community, we just kind of helped out there. And so I did that in 2019. And then in 2020 and 2021, it did not happen because of COVID. But so I had a shift of about 3 hours, and it was 1 day a week. And I sat there, and there weren't a lot of people that would come in to the depot itself. So I was reading a book, or I kept myself busy. And as I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm thinking of there's a little pavilion just south of the depot. And it's kind of like, it's just a little open pavilion. Do those of you know what I'm talking about? The little building? Is that ringing a bell with you? Well, anyway, it's kind of an open building. And I'm thinking, what if when I say we, I'm thinking of all of our conservation groups. And what if we would just have some people down there and have some materials, have information on PFAS, have information on all the different organizations, and maybe 2 people go down there at a time, and just and maybe it's just 1 day a week, maybe it's on Saturdays, and take a 2-hour shift or a 3-hour shift or whatever, and have people available there. You're going to have your bikers riding back. They'll see you in that little building. They may start, maybe we have signs out there that attract their attention a little bit, and hopefully they'll stop by, and we'll get into discussions, and we just start making people more aware of what's going on in the community. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who are not from Menominee that are out there biking, But if we're educating them about clean water and PFAS and nitrates and you name it, it's all for the betterment. And it's kind of like you're out there, you're not real, you're there, they can see you, but you're not in their face. And that's just the thought that came to mind. I don't know if it has any potential or not, but I thought I would just share it since it was in my thoughts.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. So we got a little bit more time left. It's about 3 o'clock. I want to be aware that we're going to end today. We're planning to leave the meeting about 3:30, but we can always leave a little bit earlier too. So we've talked a lot about some of the broader ideas. Is there any other ideas that are itching for folks that they want to add? Otherwise, we're going to switch over to a discussion about how to move collaborations forward. But I want to give it just a couple more seconds on collaborative actions. Okay, good. And just so we're clear, we anticipate that ideas around collaborative actions will constantly be coming up. We're hoping to have new folks constantly joining this effort and coming up with their ideas. So there's not a bad idea, they're only good ideas. But then we will be critiquing them and prioritizing them collectively to figure out what we want to move forward on and get the biggest bang for our buck to build some momentum, because I think momentum is going to be key here. So thinking through how to move the collaborative forward, any ideas percolating for folks? I did hear one idea that would be to have us move fairly quickly on this March meeting date to advocate for, I would say, water quality sampling or water quality baseline sample database, something like that. And that would get us moving fairly quickly.
Did you say, was that the supervisor meeting in March?
Yeah, so this, I don't know exactly how it's going to be, but I know that the administration has designated that at the March board meeting, the board will consider uses for the remaining ARPA funds. So I don't know any more than that, but I know that by that meeting, I expect that PR&D would have a proposal and a budget request that would be put on the table. And so yeah, at that meeting, I'm guessing there would be some kind of a gesture of support from the collaborative, public gesture of support from the collaborative.
Yep.
A letter, testimony, that sort of thing. Yep.
It's typically the third Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I have a question about that. I kind of like that idea because it's timely, it'll kind of force us all to move forward, right? So we don't miss an opportunity. It's a good test, to see how well we can use our network, to reach out to people. A couple of things. One would be like this proposal. I could easily see if we had a proposal, we could at least distribute it through all our networks and ask people to show up for that meeting and maybe arrange individually, ask people to give testimony or whatever. But that proposal we'd have to circulate well in advance. And would that be something that would come from the PR&D committee initially?
Yeah, I don't know. Did Chase Cummings join the call today? I don't think so. Right?
Who's invited?
He's busy. He's just busy enough. But here's what I think will happen is we brought it up once at the PR&D committee. We probably will bring it up at the first meeting in February. It'll be on the agenda, and the idea will be to begin framing what kind of budget, what kind of program and budget request we would ask for. And in doing that, there would be an opportunity. PRD meets twice a month. And so I think there'd be opportunity in late February or early March for members of this group to maybe have Chase or somebody come on and talk about what it is we're thinking about and get some feedback from the group, so that the budget request that went in had some sort of input from the collaborative. I'm not exactly sure how that'll happen, but I can promise you that, I don't know if I'll be reelected next term, but I can promise you that before the March meeting, that can happen.
Sounds good.
That would be good, and it would take a load off of this group as a whole. If somebody else was going to write that, and mainly what we could do is distribute it. And like, for example, we could always have, like the league, we have our little Zoom meetings or lunch and learn or something like that, and invite Chase to come and talk, and we'll get some people to show up and get some feedback, and then, move it out further as for the March meeting. I think that's it's a pretty simple, it's simple-ish for our group to handle. I think I'd like to test it out and see, and maybe try to activate our environmentalists in the league. And it's a step forward, to legislative action and things like that, see what sort of traction we can get. And then, as this is developing, I'm thinking too, is like, what next? Because I know there's been some well testing in the past, and the information's there, but what would we want to do with it? And I think that's kind of we could get everybody's thoughts from this group. Like, if we have 20-30% of our wells show high nitrates, so now what? What are we going to do? And I think we could brainstorm about that.
Well, and I think that's where also, Anne Marie, that's where the idea of some of these mid-sized small grains, getting farmers to be more thoughtful in their productions. Can we create market value-added markets for their products that they're going to be needing to use to fill out their rotations? And can this community actually be the consumers of some of those products? So we're actually reinforcing our commitment through what we're buying. I mean, that's where I feel like, and then, you've got the farmer-led groups. That's where it kind of feels like the plate might be setting for us, or some of the silverware showing up, I guess would be the way I'm describing it. So I feel very encouraged how this could roll out.
I do too. And one of the things about I think this collaboration group can do, I know the Farmers Union has a real concern about trying to develop resources for mid-sized farms, and if we all are aware of that we can help promote that in whatever way we as our different groups can do.
And I might say, putting on my Farmers Union hat, but also a county hat, that Farmers Union is interested in the small grains development. And that's an important piece, a difficult but important piece of allowing farming to convert into more conservation-oriented practices. There also is an effort that I think, as we talked about maybe at the film showing last year, it's continuing to support development of markets for grass-fed meat in the area. And a few folks are going to be meeting with, just for your information, a few folks are going to be meeting with, I don't know if anyone's heard of the Grasslands WOA initiative that the University of Wisconsin has in collaboration with the University of Minnesota. They're looking for ways to improve permanent pasture and grazing of animals as a conservation, but also an economic development strategy. And we're going to be meeting with them, asking them to sort of identify our area as one of the areas they want to work with. And the hope is to start with a pilot project maybe this summer even, but the idea would be to develop a market. And we've been talking to lake associations in the area about possibly, would you be willing to have your lake association assist in a marketing effort for those meat products? I mean, it's very, very nebulous in its early stage, but at some point, that may be something that the idea of expanding that marketing in our community might be an effort, the PR effort that the collaborative could consider.
Yeah, it was interesting, Tom. We did a little, this is Landmark. I'm getting us completely off topic here though, but we did a beer with a mission. And we collaborated with a local brewery here to then fundraise for Devil's Punch Bowl. And they did the local brew here, but they were interested in trying to work with local farmers. We didn't have enough time to pull it together, but we're always trying to figure out ways to pull in all these crazy good partners to be part of that bridge and that messaging. And anything we can do at Landmark to help out, just let me know with as far as the local meat or grazing, because we have a lot of our members, quote unquote, or supporters want to really do more than what they're doing. But we've got to help these folks. You don't want to make it completely easy, but pretty darn easy for them to take that next leap of faith. So anyway, I think then hopefully the more linkages we have, we'll be able to improve it. So anything we can do to help.
I think it's important. I think it's important that we look for opportunities in doing these things. We look for opportunities to engage the collaborative in key aspects of the development, so that every little thing we do increases the credibility of this collaborative and the importance of people working together.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was just thinking here, Tom Hodstead, the idea of you've got that little spot that you were mentioning where we could have a couple people hanging out, talking with local folks. Maybe we can engage them with a little local meats and local beer. And have even longer conversations with them.
Tom just mentioned grass-fed beef. And I'm gonna show my naivete here again. My wife and I went to a presentation, a lady who was doing grass-fed beef, and we got quite an education as to the nutritional difference in grass-fed beef versus what when I say we, our society, we're feeding all of our cows grain. Grass versus grain, I had no idea the benefit of a grass-fed cow.
Yeah, no, it's huge.
And I would say, if you were to go and ask 100 people on the street, that you might find less than a handful that would get it. And I was one of them who did not get it until just in the last couple of years. So there's all kinds of things we can educate people on. And I don't know where you begin. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, the good news is lots of other states have taken on this stuff, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's lots of great, I think, marketing materials out there that we could tap into to help with our messaging so we stay on track. I think the most important thing that I hear is we got some potential important next steps that would help us move slowly as we move forward with the cultivation of this collaboration. But then I've also, how can we be creative and engage the general public to care more or be more aware of these issues? Because I'll be upfront with you, Steve, if you'd gone to Vermont 10, 15 years ago, that's all we talked about was grass-based. That's all we talked. It really is to my personal opinion, the Midwest folks are slower to gravitate towards the grass-based. But in Vermont, we were doing grass-based fed food and marketing it as the most important sustainable meat you could buy 15 years ago. So it's been out there for a while. It's not a new thing. I guess that's all I'm just trying to say. We just got to make it hip and fun and appropriate and the right thing to do to keep our county and our water great.
If there's a goal to educate our community,
Yeah.
do you think maybe one of the best ways to reach out to them is to go like set up a table at a farmer's market where the people
Yeah.
who already have an interest in eating local and eating healthier are congregating?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We could also probably get a booth at the co-op too if we wanted to, but I guess that's probably maybe preaching more to the choir, but that's great ideas because you got to start somewhere. So
Well,
next,
that's market idea, if we have the time to put the resources, yeah. You want me to put that in next steps?
sure. Other ideas for next steps? I feel like we've got a couple good pieces here to the puzzle, so I'm feeling pretty good that we can get a little momentum going here.
Lindsay, I have one other.
Great.
Somebody earlier on mentioned the potential for generating, I think maybe it was you, the potential for generating more awareness and interest in the natural area, utilization of natural areas and resources in Dunn County. And it may be, I think it's hard to know, but it may be that the idea of having some kind of organized day or weekend when we invite our neighbors and citizens to really collect, together share all the outdoor resources in our county, and have it be sponsored primarily by the collaborative, but also by individual groups. And that's the sort of thing that you could get a GEM grant from the Wisconsin Rural Tourism Association to help fund. It would take work, and it would probably take hiring some people to help us, but Stout may be willing to provide some resources for that too. I just throw it on the table, not for action or anything, but just.
Okay. No, I could imagine us and Sarah getting a little involved, and I was actually going to morph that into not only visiting and celebrating it, but maybe we have a shared volunteer day. We have a weekend where we invite everyone to come out and help keep our facilities in great shape, where it's more of a worker trail day, and then maybe in the fall a celebration of these resources or something. But love it. Other ideas? Tom's got a lot. Does other folks got any ideas? I know, Chris, you've been a little quiet. I don't even know if you're still on the phone. I don't mean to call you out. Sorry. See, who hasn't talked much? Dale, you've been a little quiet.
Yeah, I've been a little quiet. I'm not sure exactly how we can all get involved, but that last idea was interesting, is sharing all the activities that we've been doing. I was thinking about the stream restorations that our Clearwater's Trout Unlimited has been involved with in Dunn County. It's a 7-county chapter, but we've done more in Dunn County than we have in all the other counties put together.
Yeah. Well, I live on a trout class 2 stream. And I know how critically important these cold water resources are going to be, especially as we address climate. And maybe there's something here, Dale, between restoration and maybe there's some protection work we could be doing when I think about land protection and acquisition work. To me, if there's some important trout streams, there might be some opportunity there.
We're trying to shift our emphasis from being a trout organization to a cold water resource organization, and looking at the upper uplands, not just the stream corridor, but what's going on. So a lot of what you're talking about, I thought it'd be nice to, one of the things that I thought was important was just to make, if we could have some kind of a calendar to announce what all the different groups are doing and some kind of an effort to let everybody know, just an awareness kind of thing.
Yep. And I do think to get to some of this deeper collaborative ideas, I think being in person and having more time to talk through some of these ideas, but hopefully we're seeding them a little bit through this Zoom call. And I noticed some folks, Missy, I don't know that you've had a chance to share too much, or if you have anything you'd like to add. I'm just kind of going down through and looking for names that I don't know that talked a lot, and it's okay. I don't want to mean to put you on the spot. Keith? Oh, they're both muted, so maybe they're on to other things. Chris, you got any last minute ideas you want to share? Chris Getz? No.
Yeah, I guess over this last year, we started a restoration project. It's on a cold water stream, but not a trout stream,
Right.
by Menominee High School. And
Yeah.
that's brought a lot of collaboration with folks around the area to come see what that's like and help out and get outside and be together. That's been a real key program for us, and we're going to continue doing that. I was out there actually this morning working with some volunteers. So I think, yeah, if we can find places where we can get people together and talk about it and show them what our points are for managing property and helping out the resources that we have.
Great. Okay. So anybody else have anything else that they would like to share? So this is just the beginning. So if you were part of this call or have been part of a past call, we will certainly be writing up notes, inviting everybody who has an interest to move aspects of this forward. So I don't want to put Anne Marie on the spot or others, but as we start to work out this work plan and share it, our hope is people are just going to jump in and we're just going to start working together and building the momentum that we need. And I feel like we've got some pretty clear ideas moving forward. One thing I thought would be helpful though is to get the group's feedback on the meeting. I know, Chris, you do this at your board meetings, which I love, and we don't do them at mine. I wish we did, but sometimes when you're running a meeting, it's really hard to tell how well it's gone or ways to improve it. So if you have ideas for improving the meeting, better agendas, or any ideas, feel free, because this is just the beginning and we know we'll have a series of other meetings moving forward. And then I just also offer that if anybody, we're always looking for shared leadership. So, don't feel that, if this is something you want to get more involved in, we've got space to provide folks to play leadership roles with this effort. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I just want to be clear that this idea is we're setting the table, but hopefully more and more folks will come to and sit and have a meal with us as we move this forward. So I have no idea why I'm on this whole dinner table rant. It should be about football. And I guess the last thing I will tell you all, and you're probably going to be really cranky with me, but I was born in Monterey, California, and I am a San Francisco 49er fan. So I think
Perfect.
Challenging
week.
That took a lot of bravery to
Thank you.
to mention that. Now either bravery or a little slice of not so bright.
Brave, little stupidity, baby.
Can I step in here just to, for one question about steps? I really want to follow up on, the idea and the baseline and the March meeting and the PRD recommendation. Are there people involved in this call who would like to kind of spearhead that to make sure we follow up on that as a group? I'd like to do that. Is there anybody else?
Should we have that be part of our agenda for our next heat meeting and invite
Well,
everybody here?
Yeah.
No,
sorry.
no, this is the collaboration meeting, Steve. I'd like to see that, are there other people who would be interested in following up on that? Obviously, Tom is doing it from his
Right.
role as the chair, but is there somebody else? Anne Marie, I'm putting you on the spot. Would you be willing to help with that? You've got such a good step 1, step 2, step 3 kind of, how to go about this stuff.
Yes, I will be happy to help. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that I think talking about steps, I think at least I can, with the next step, if we can work with Tom and after he can go and talk to Chase to find out if we really want to do one of those lunch and learn presentation things. We just need to get it on the schedule and get it out to our members so that they to look for it. If it's going to happen in February, that's just a couple of weeks away. So
Exactly.
I think that
That's
would
what
be
I'm
our first
thinking.
follow-up thing.
Okay. Anybody else want to be part of a committee to do that?
And obviously Landmark will promote it. We're willing to promote and get as many of our members to be aware. I don't know that I need to be in the nitty gritty on that one, but I fully support it.
Anne Marie, how about if you and I, give us about where to go from that here, after the meeting, sometime after the meeting, today's meeting. Does that work?
Yeah, like after our Prairie Enthusiast meeting on Monday, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Sounds good.
No, we will.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
Thank you. So just real quick feedback on the meeting. Ideas, and really it's the main, and this is hard with Zoom, I have to admit, but just areas for improvement. I mean, if it went well, that's fine, thumbs up. But if you've got suggestions for improvement, I'd really love to hear it. And then there will be a follow-up from this. We will be getting notes out to everyone and seeding future meeting opportunities so that folks are aware of opportunities to plug themselves in. So feedback on the meeting. Went okay? Room for improvement? I got one thumb up.
No, I think it's good. Every time we get together and kind of share thoughts, we feel a little more comfortable with each other, and I think that's important. So I like doing this. Good collaboration.
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job. Great job, everyone.
Thanks.
I think it was a really good meeting. The one suggestion I would have is that, we maybe would make an effort earlier in the meeting to draw out some comments from folks who haven't spoken.
Yeah.
Because it's on Zoom especially, it's hard to kind of butt in and speak up. So that would be it.
Yeah. Good suggestion. Others? John, Heather, Missy, Keith. I got a phone number, so I don't know who that is. Okay. Maybe they're multitasking. Alrighty, guys. Well, I have nothing else to share. It is 3:29. I'm more proud of that I was able to keep it on time.
Good job.
Because everybody knows me, I can get a little chatty. So anyway, thanks for not, killing me because I'm a 49er fan. And I've been one since I was really little, John Brody. So, it's been a long time coming.